everyone, this is Alex from Studio Trejo, and today we're going to review the Vivitar Series 1 35-85 f2.8 constant aperture zoom lens. In the 1970s, Vivitar introduced a Series 1 lens line. These computer-designed state-of-the-art lenses often outperformed the optics of their competitors at the time. This vintage lens was part of that Series 1 era. So let's go ahead and go over some of the key features of this lens. The obvious is going to be an impressive constant 2.8 aperture throughout its zoom range. The zoom range itself is very useful at 35 to 85 millimeters. 35 being the classic street photography focal length, and 85 millimeters called by many photographers as perfect for portrait shoots. On top, the lens's impressive minimum focus distance, which goes down to 26 centimeters, or about 10 inches from the focal plane. With all metal construction, it still only comes in at 27 ounces, or 1.7 pounds. So is it a heavy lens? Well, I guess it all depends on what you're used to. If you're used to kit lenses, mostly made of plastic, then yes, this is a behemoth of a lens. But if you're used to carrying one of these, and carrying another one of these, then no. This doesn't weigh much, and you're gonna be fine. Add smooth focus, a clicky aperture ring with a front element that'll make your photography buddies green, or in this case, magenta with envy, and you have the perfect lens, right? Let's talk about the cons. At least on my copy, it's milky soft at 35 millimeters, wide open with vignetting. As you zoom in, closer to 85 millimeters, the milkiness or coma or ghosting or whatever you want to call it improves. As you focus to objects closer to you, the ghosting begins to lessen, and once the bokeh takes over, you can't see much of it at all. Also, soap bubble bokeh. Of course, if you stop down to f3.5, it improves tremendously. And by f4, it's pretty much gone. There is also the focusing technology of this lens. The downside is that you have to refocus every time the focal length is changed. The reason why the ghosting goes away the closer you're at 85, because you're forced to refocus. Think of a parafocal lens in the video world. This little guy is a complete opposite. Lastly, and this could be a pro or a con, the flaring is beast mode. Even my Nikon 24-70 2.8 flares when I point it to the sun. But this little guy, I've never seen so much flaring. There's big flares, little flares, multiple flares, normal flare, rainbow flares, a lot of flare. You can cut it down with a lens hood, a matte box, your hand, a house, anything. But if you like that vintage flare vibe, then you're gonna wanna try this lens. So what is my take on this Vivitar 35-85 2.8? It's neat having this focal range and the ability to almost use f2.8, but even with its drawbacks at that aperture, you could still make it work. I try not to overly worry about the weaknesses of a vintage lens, because they're just that. They're vintage. Corner to corner sharpness, weighing in like a feather, having ED, FL, VR, and whatever other acronyms they come up with is not what I factor in when I test out vintage glass. The feel it gives to the content, that's more important to me than trying to compare it to modern glass. Understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your lenses and using it to its maximum potential opens the way to great content. In conclusion, the Vivitar company may be gone, but the Series 1 lenses still live, and this 35-85 2.8-ish vintage lens is a keeper for me. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.